Ma'am.
So once the model is constructed, that model can be used to detect or use it to detect the labels for the unknown example. So before going to detect, before going to use before going to use that model directly to predict the unknown example, let's first we need to test the model whether it is working correctly or not. How efficient the constructed model is. We need to test it first. So what to do to test the model? We have a test set. So we need to test the model by removing the label for the test data. So we need to submit that test data to the constructed model. So based on its learning experience, based on its training knowledge, it can able to classify the test data. So now we are ready with the generated labels of the test data. So how to evaluate the classifier? How to evaluate the classifier? So we have the generated labels and also we have true labels. True labels we have already, right? Generated labels also we have. So we can just compare the obtained labels to the actual label. So with that result, we can able to tell how efficient our classifier is. If at all it classifies properly, we can we can make it granted to classify the real-time examples or real-time instances. If at all it is not worked properly, we need to enhance the classifier, and there are again different methods are there for again enhancing the classifier, etc. Then what is the difference of the classifier and the predictor? So if the predicted label is the class label is of categorical value, the class label is of categorical value, then the process of making predictions is referred as classification. Whereas if the class label is having numerical value, then the process of prediction is referred as prediction process. Classification, only difference is there in classification. In case of classification, the class label is categorical, whereas in case of prediction, the class label is numerical. And in classification, we are having two types: binary class classification, and multi-class classification. So what is the binary class classification? In binary class, anybody? What is the binary class classification?
Only two classes involve होते हैं मैम.
Yeah. So in binary class
Multi-class
classification, yes, multi-class and
more than two classes, ma'am.
more than two. So if at all you are going to classify the data into only two classes, then such kind of classification is referred as binary classification, binary class classification, or binary classification, whatever. If at all you are going to classify the data into more than two groups, suppose you have uh, some balls data or colors data. You have multiple colors. You have multiple colors of balls, cubes, or other different shapes. And based on its characteristic, you need to identify whether it is a ball or whether it is a square shape or whether it is a rectangle shape. So here the classes are ball, square, rectangle, triangle, etc., etc. For example. So if at all you are going to classify the particular data into more than two classes, such kind of classification is referred as multi-class classification. So now we are in the process of prediction. So in case of prediction, we are having, and one more thing, for classification, we are having different methods. So what are the different classification methods? All of you should maintain the running notes also. So your notes can be helpful for you while preparing for the exams. So what are the types of classification? Not types. What are the methods we are having for classification? Classification methods. KNN is there, k-nearest neighbor classification, decision tree. In last class I told already.
Vector machine.
Yes, support vector mission, Navy Bayesian classification. Next, anybody? random forest, etc. We are having. Wait for a while. So, K-nearest neighbor classifier, support vector mission, decision tree, navigation, random forest, ANN, artificial neural network, and some other also there. These are the major important types of important methods under classifier. Important and famous methods. And coming to the prediction process, we are having the method called regression analysis for performing the prediction. The famous method for performing the prediction is regression analysis. And generally, we usually use the terms prediction and regression simultaneously. So sometimes we may call the process of prediction, we may also call it as regression process. Sometimes it is called as prediction process. Actually, the process is prediction, and regression analysis is the methodology we are using for prediction. But in general, we use the term simultaneously for the same purpose. And we are having similar to the classification methods. Similarly, we are having here also some regression methods or regression techniques or prediction methods for performing the prediction. Those are linear regression, non-linear regression, logistic regression. Linear, non-linear, and logistic regression. And coming to the issues regarding the classification. We are having certain issues regarding the classification and prediction that we need to know about that. So, so in order to in order to generate the accurate results or in order to generate the efficient results, first thing is we need to perform the data pre-processing. That is the first and foremost element of anything. You already know about that. That is your second chapter, right? So the topic itself is included as one of the chapters in your subject. That means that much of importance the data pre-processing has in the machine learning environment or in data mining environment. In data mining context, the data pre-processing has very huge weightage given to get the good results, to get the accurate results. So here also, in order to generate the appropriate results or accurate results for the classifier, accurate results in the sense, the generated labels should match with the actual label. The generated label should match with the actual labels. That means the classifier should be able to classify correctly. That is the accuracy. So in order to get the efficient model from the training phase, we need to first pre-process the data. So here data pre-processing plays a major role. Data pre-processing plays the major role. So within that, we are having broadly, we are having several methods. Hope you can understand this writing, I think. So within that, we are having data cleaning methods, data cleaning methodologies. That means the data pre-processing is broadly categorized into different steps or different phases. The first step within the pre-processing is data cleaning, and the second is relevance analysis. And the third one is data transformation and reduction. So these are the three methods we are having. These are the three methods we are having under data pre-processing. So under data cleaning, again we are having, again majorly we are performing two things. So under data pre-processing, mainly we are concentrating on data cleaning process, relevance analysis, and data transformation and reduction process. So especially under data cleaning, we are performing two major tasks. One is the handling of noisy data, removing noisy data, and handling of missing value. So removing noisy data is one major task done under data cleaning. Removing noise and handling the missing value. So what is noise actually? So any unwanted thing with respect to our task, any unwanted thing is referred as noise. So that should be removed before proceeding for the classification. And what are the missing values? So sometimes in your data set, you may consisting of some NA value, not known, null, like that value, or some empty fields you are having in your data set. So those values should be removed or should be handled successfully. So these two steps comes under data cleaning. And what about relevance analysis? So again, we are having two other steps in relevance analysis. So first one is removing redundant attributes. We should remove the redundant attributes. So removing redundant attributes is the first step. And next step is removing irrelevant attributes. We should remove irrelevant attributes also. So what are the redundant attributes and what are the irrelevant attributes? So an attribute is redundant in the sense we are getting the same information from that attribute. For example, you are having the attribute like date of birth, DOB is there, and another attribute age is there. I can say that these two attributes are redundant. Why? Because from these two attributes, I can get approximately the same information. If at all I am having the date of birth, I can get the age of the person or age of the employee or age of the student, whatever. If at all I am having the age, directly I can get the age. So if at all the data set consisting of this kind of redundant attributes, no need to have the no need to get the same information from two attributes. We can remove one. We can make the data set as simple as possible. What the aim is, we can make the data set as simple as possible. So such kind of redundant attributes should be removed. And next, what we have to remove? Irrelevant attributes. Again, this is also somewhat relevant to the noisy data. So irrelevant attributes in the sense, suppose you are having a student data set you are having, and your task is to find out the average marks obtained for each student. Suppose the task is to find out the average marks obtained for each student or under prediction. So since the evaluated value is an average, which is a numerical value, here the class is numerical, that process comes under prediction. So whatever, if at all it is the classification or it is the prediction, what I am telling is, if that is the task is to retrieve the task is to predict the average marks for a student. So in that case, the student age is not necessary, right? In general, in your student data set, you may have the student age also and student address also. So those two probably maybe some other fields are also not relevant. For example, I am telling. So in order to get the average marks obtained by the student age and address are not necessarily there, not important there. So we can remove that. Those are irrelevant. Whereas if the query is like to retrieve the student or to print the students who are from some West Godavari district. So in such case, address of a student is required. So depends upon the task, some features or some attributes are become relevant, some attributes are become irrelevant. So it depends upon the task, we can remove the irrelevant attribute. So under relevance analysis, here is the relevance analysis. So under relevance analysis, what we are doing is, first thing we are removing the redundant attribute, and for this there is a method called correlation analysis. So to remove the relevant attributes, we are having correlation analysis, and the second one is to remove the irrelevant attributes. For this, we are having subset selection process, attribute subset selection process is there. Some specific methodologies are there to perform each and every step, right? So that is the relevance analysis. And what is this data transformation and reduction? So again, we are having data transformation and reduction. So after performing data cleaning, after performing relevance analysis, we should undergo this step to complete the data pre-processing. So here in data transformation and reduction, again we are having two steps. We should go through two steps. Again, we should go through two steps. The first one is normalization, data normalization. And the second one is visualization. I think you already heard these names. So under data transformation and reduction, again we are having two steps, data normalization and generalization. So here normalization, data normalization is the process of scaling the data value. Process of scaling data normalization is referred as the process of scaling the data value. For example, you can, I think you can get the grades in your SSC or +2 instead of in your SSC, I think. At our time when we are going through our SSC, we are getting only the marks. We are not getting any grades. But now students are getting grades out of 10. Out of 10, some of the students are getting getting 9, 9.5, 10, 8.5, like that. Means what it means? Actually, they are writing the exam for only 10 marks. In an SSC exam, the student is getting the grade of or getting the score of 9 out of 10. This is his score, or this is the grade. Can I think that? Can I analyze in this way? Like student is writing exam all the entire subjects only for 10 marks, and out of 10 he is getting the marks. This is the way of this is the right way. What is the actual meaning of this? Anybody? If the student, yes, tell me. If the student is getting the score as 9, score as grade, whatever, what is meant by that? Can I think like that? He's only attempting the exam for 10 marks, and out of 10 marks he's getting only 9 marks. Can I make it like this? If at all I am the unknown person, yes. What is the meaning of this actually?
On average, టోటల్ గా కన్సిడర్ చేసినప్పుడు టోటల్ మార్క్స్ ని 10 points కి యావరేజ్ చేసి చూస్తారు.
అంటే వాట్ యాక్చువల్లీ they are doing, they are scaling they are rearranging the marks, or they are fitting the marks to the scale of 1 to 10, right? So what you are telling is number 37, right? So what you are telling, they are doing some process. What process they are doing? That is different. So they are doing some process, and as a result of this, they are fitting the entire marks to the scale of 1 to 10. They are fitting the entire marks. They are fixing the entire marks to the scale of 1 to 10. This is exactly what's the process of normalization. This is what the process of normalization. So normalization is nothing but scaling elements into the particular range. Scaling the elements into the particular range. So why we need to do normalization in the sense? For example, if your data is like this, some employee data is there. In your data, some employee data is there, and there you can find the employee age. Suppose one employee age is some 35. The tuple is like that. If the data set is like that, the employee age is 35, and his salary is some 90,000, for example. His salary is 90,000, and some other constraint, some other numerical constraint. Anyone can help me to write out what other numerical constraint we have for an employee? Otherwise, number of increments he can get. Suppose till now, at the time of developing this data set, he may get some 7 increments. So if you observe this data, particularly if you observe this data, each element of the data is numeric. That means we are only considering the numerical data for this example. So here 35, can we compare these? Since these are all numerical, but we can't compare this because out of 10 increments, he is getting 7 increments. So actually this is a good number of increments. So if you only consider this column, if you only consider this attribute, for this attribute, this is a good number actually. Similarly, suppose the employee salary is, for example, 30,000, not 90,000. So if at all you consider this attribute only, this is not a good number. Why? Because maybe the remaining employees may get the salary of up to 90,000. So he is only getting the salary of 30,000. And similarly, if you consider this, maybe this is the considerable age group. Maybe this is the considerable age group. Why? Because at the age of suppose this is 30, at the age of 30 he is getting 30,000. Okay, it's a considerable age group, for example. So if at all you are going through, if at all you are considering the individual columns, we can able to tell whether that is a good figure or not. If at all you are combining these three, if at all you are considering these three at a time, in general, what we can say that this is the higher number, and this is the next higher number, and this is the lower number. So when we are doing normalization when we are doing classification or prediction, we need to train the data. We need to train the classifier on the data. So classifier don't know about the things like 30,000 is not a good figure, but 7 is a good figure compared to that elements in the particular attribute. 30 is an average figure. Those things, those sense, the classifier don't know about all those. So what we need to do is we need to scale each and every attribute, every numerical attribute to the particular range. So if you scale each and every attribute, what are the values then? So if I scale these, if suppose I have applied so and so method to scale the, if I have applied some method to scaling the entire attribute, then I get, suppose I can get 3, and suppose 7. This is the data set. This is the new normalized data set, which is normalized to the scale of 1 to 10. Then what I can get? So I have applied some process and I scale the data set to the scale of 1 to 10. How can I get 3 instead of 30? The same way, how can you get the score of 9 instead of 900 marks, or instead of 560 marks? How can you get scale of 9? So there is some formula, there is a process, depends upon the method we have selected. So the thing is, we need to bring all the values all the hues values to the scale of 1 to 10 or 1. Sometimes it may be 0 to 1 also, or it may be -1 to 1 also, depends upon the method we have selected. So that is the process of normalization. We need to bring the values to the to the proper scale. So the process of scaling is called as the normalization, which is very important for getting the good results for the accuracy or as well as prediction. All these are the methods for both accuracy and prediction. And here is the generalization. Here is the process of generalization. What is the generalization? Generalization, we already know in the multi-level, I think, multi-level association mining, we are having concept hierarchies, right? So generalization in the sense, generalizing the values to the higher level, generalizing the values to the higher level. Sometimes it may be necessary, depends upon the task, it may be necessary to generalize the value. So if at all we are having if at all we are having different values for A's, we can generalize the values like youth, middle age, old age. So this is the process of generalization. This is actually the optional process. But normalization is the process which have to be considered. Normalization is the process which have to be considered, which have to be performed before going for classification of prediction to get the good result. So this is the overall process of data pre-processing. So this is the basic step before going for the classification and prediction. And under this data pre-processing, we are having 3 major steps, right? 3 major steps we are having. The first one is data cleaning and the relevance analysis, and the third one is data transformation and reduction. So in data cleaning, we are having majorly 2 steps we are having, removing noise and handling missing values. Removing noise and handling of missing values. So noise in the sense, anything which is not needed for our task can be considered as a noise. So that can be removed, and handling of missing values. So if at all the data is with some missing values, we should handle that. There are different handling methods, like we can remove that column, remove that row, or that means row in the sense tuple or observation, or we can replace that with some constant value, or we can replace that with the average of the entire values in that particular attribute. Like this, there are many methods which you can find in your second shop writing. So coming to the relevance analysis, again we are having 2 methods under relevance analysis. Removing redundant attributes and removing irrelevant attributes. Coming to the first one, redundant attributes. So if at all you observe some attributes are redundant, as I said, for example, date of birth and age. So those kind of attributes should be removed. So no need to have 2 attributes of same type or same behavior. We can use one, you can remove another. Similarly, we're having removal of irrelevant attributes. So that if an attribute is irrelevant to the task given, we can remove that like this. Similarly, data coming to the third one, data transformation and reduction. We are having 2 methods under this: data normalization and data generalization. Coming to the normalization, again here actually the normalization is the process of scaling. We have already different examples, several examples for this, and we are having 2 normalization techniques. These are all very important. We are having 2 normalization techniques. First one is min-max. We are not going into the details of the technique. And the second one is Z-score. So we are having 2 data normalization techniques, min-max and Z-score. And coming to the generalization, generalization is the process of generalizing the data values into the higher level from the concept hierarchy. We already know about concept hierarchies all in your third unit line. So this is the process of data pre-processing. And again, we need to discuss about some metrics. Some metrics we have to consider to identify the efficiency of the classifier and prediction. These are called as performance evaluation metrics. These are the performance evaluation metrics. Some metrics are there, and we need to go through each and every metric to understand the efficiency of the classifier and the predictor. So, the first and foremost thing is accuracy, speed, robustness, scalability, interpretability. So these are the 5 metrics which we need to consider. So coming to the accuracy. So here accuracy of a prediction or classifier, for both we are discussing. So accuracy of a classifier is the efficiency of the classifier in correctly predicting the labels for a given tuple. So how perfectly, that means how exactly it is predicting, it is going to predict the label of the given tuple. So that is the accurate. That is about the accuracy of the classifier or accuracy of the classifier or accuracy of the predictor. Coming to the speed. Speed indicates the computational cost. It refers to the computational cost. It actually refers to the efficiency of classification. Classification or prediction. The speed indicates the computational cost. So once the model is constructed with the classifier or predictor, so by using that model, what is the computational cost? What is the computational cost associated with using that model? For example, I have 2 models generated for the same data set. So by using KNN classifier, I have generated one model, and by using some SVM support vector mission, I have generated some other model. So there are 2 models in my hand. So out of 2, which one I can prefer? So that can be based on the computational cost. So some models are computationally very cost. Some models are computationally somewhat less. Computational cost in the sense it may include the time needed to run the program or the memory support it requires, etc., etc. Depends on different aspects. So the one with the lowest computation cost can be selected. So if at all the classifier or predictor is efficient, we can tell that if at all it is having the good speed in the sense having the lowest computational cost in performing the classification or prediction. And coming to the robustness. Robustness is nothing but the correctness of the classification or prediction, even though in case of noise. So even though in the presence of noise, as said earlier, before going for the generation of the model, we are performing pre-processing, and in pre-processing, noise reduction is one of the steps. Then you may raise some doubt because we are already removing the noise before going for the classification or prediction. Then why again we are here raising the topic of noise? You may ask some doubt like, noise is already removed. Why again noise here? Because nothing. I mean, method is efficient or no method is perfect, is 100% perfect. So even though you remove some noise in the data pre-processing stage, some data sets may have still noise which cannot be removed or which cannot be identified. So our classifier or our predictor, which is constructed, should be go good or should make correct prediction even though in the presence of the little noise in the data set. So even though the data set consisting of some little noise, our classifier or the generated model should able to make the classification or prediction perfectly. So that is the characteristic. That is the robustness. And coming to the scalability, scalability is always concerned with the scalable in the sense extendability like this. How scalable it is, we usually use the term. So what if the data set is too large? If suppose you have you have made the model, you have constructed the model by using some data set which is consisting of the size 1k into 30. Suppose this is the size of the data set. What is meant by 1k into 30? This indicates the number of rows and this indicates the number of columns. That means in my data set, in my training data set, which is used for constructing the model, I have used 1000 rows and 30 columns. That means 1000 observations are there, 30 attributes are there in the training set. And I have a testing set, I have tested that and I concluded that that is a good classifier. However, I have used the same model to classify the real-time data. So I have selected the real-time data set and its size is, for example, some 2k into 30, which is greater than, which is more than the, which is almost double to the one we have used while construction of the model. So this context is referred by scalability. So scalability of a classifier in the sense, what if the same model is used to train up or to classify the large amounts of data. So that means our classifier should be able to classify any data of any size. So that is the scalability. If at all the model is scalable, it can be preferred, it can be selected to perform the classification. And the last one is interpretability. Interpretability in the sense, it is the level of understanding or usefulness by using the classifier or prediction. Level of understanding or usefulness by using the classifier or prediction. That means how much the classifier is useful for us. That means how much the resulted data from the classification is correct, obviously. So that is the interpretability. So these are all the performance metrics for the classification and prediction, classifier and predictor. So the classifier should be accurate, should produce accurate results, and it should consisting of good computational cost in terms of speed, and it should be robust enough. That means it can handle the noisy data also. If at all any noise is present in construction of the model, it can able to perform well even though in case of noise. And scalability, it should able to it should be in a position to classify even though the large data sets also can be able to use that model. And interpretability, so we can get as much useful information as we can from that classifier. Or so if at all the classifier or predictor consisting of these features, those models can be referred as efficient or good models. So based on these characteristics, we can identify the good classifier or good predictor. So this is about the issues regarding the classification and prediction. Let us go back to our presentation. So just consider the theoretical concern. So this is the way you have to present in your exams. That's why I'm telling you. So here in data pre-processing, we are having data cleaning, relevance analysis, data transformation, and reduction. So in data cleaning, we should remove the noisy data and we need to handle the missing values. And in relevance analysis, we have removing redundant attributes. For this, we are having correlation analysis. And again, for removing irrelevant attributes, we are having attribute selection method. And coming to the transformation and reduction techniques, we are having normalization and generalization. And in normalization, it is the process of making the data into the within the small specified ranges. We are having two normalization methods, min-max and z-score. Min-max method and z-score method. And coming to the generalization, it is the process of generalizing the data to the higher conceptual level. For example, if you consider income, it can be generalized to low, middle, or high, like this. And coming to the different methods we are having, performance evaluation methods. Coming to the accuracy. So accuracy of a classifier is referred to the ability of a given classifier to correctly predict the class labels of unseen data. Similarly, accuracy of a predictor refers to how well a given predictor can guess the value of the predicted attribute for unseen data. So accuracy can be estimated using the test set that is independent of the training set. This we already know that. Coming to the speed, so this refers to the computational cost involved in generating and using the given classifier or predictor. And coming to the robustness, this is the ability of the classifier or predictor to make correct prediction given noisy data or data with missing value. And coming to the scalability, this refers to the ability to construct the classifier or predictor efficiently given large amounts of data. Even though with the large amounts of data, we can able to make the classifier or predictor perfectly. Coming to the interpretability, this refers to the level of understanding and insight that is provided by the classifier or predictor. So what level of understanding we can get from the classifier or predictor. So that is about the basic concepts of classification and prediction. Now we are in our fourth unit, we are having, wait. So we are having decision trees, generalization classifier in the fourth unit. So we are going to discuss those two first. So our syllabus is limited to that only. So I'm now going to the decision tree. Maybe in this class we can cover the brief introduction of the decision tree. So as the name itself indicates, decision tree. Some tree is there in the name itself. So this is some tree-like structure. This is some tree-like structure. So a tree is usually involving what? A root. A tree is like this, right? We can assume a tree. In your DS subject, data structures also we are having binary tree, etc. We are having. This is the basic structure tree, and we can call it as a root node, and these are the intermediate nodes, and these are the labels. The same terminology we can use in case of the tree also. So here, each internal node denotes a, we already know the terminology, right? Root node, this is the root node, and these are the internal nodes, and these are the external nodes, which are also called as the leaf nodes. So in particularly in case of decision tree, each internal node denotes a test on the attribute. So each internal node denotes a test. Test in the sense, here, if you consider the same example, student. So whether the person is a student or not. If at all student, we can go like this. Just like if-then statement. If at all not student, you can go like this. So each internal node represents a test and is indicated with the rectangular box. Indicated with the rectangular box. So each branch represents the outcome of the test. Say here is the branch. Here is the branch. So it represents the outcome of the test. So if at all he is a student, yes is the outcome. If at all he is not a student, then no is the outcome. So outcome of the test should be represented on the branch. Here also we are having age. If at all he belongs to youth, that means age is discretized into three values: youth, middle age, and senior. If the age value is youth, so you can go in this way, and the outcome of the test youth is represented on the branch. And here outcome of the test middle age is represented on this branch. And in the third branch, we are having the outcome of the test. This is the test. So So at every stage, if you consider here, credit rating is the test here. So fair is one answer and excellent is another answer. Another answer in the sense is having credit rating is having two values. So if at all the tuple is matched, credit rating of the given observation is matching the fair, you can go this way, and fair is labeled on this branch, and this particular branch is labeled as excellent, like this. And each leaf node holds a class label. Finally, the leaf nodes are in vowel shape, and the leaf node holds the class label. What is the class label? Here is the figure represents the concept of buys a computer or not. So this decision represents the concept of whether the person buys a computer or not. So if at all he go in this way, the label is no. If at all he go in this way, the label is yes. That means the final labels indicates the what we call leaves. Final leaves of the tree indicates the labels of the data set. So here we are having only two labels for this data set. One is yes, another one is no. So that we only have labels as yes and no in the last level. We only have labels as yes and no in the last level. So how can we trace this tree? How can we assess this tree? So if at all the age is senior and credit rating is fair, what is the label? Anybody? If at all the age is senior and credit rating is excellent. Credit rating is excellent. What is the label?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the label? Yes. So yes is the label. How can we trace that? Since the age is senior, so we can come in this way. And next, coming to the credit rating, it is excellent. Again, you can go in this way, and finally you can get the label as X. This is the way of classification. So each classification method have its own style, have its own algorithm. So based on that, we can able to classify the unknown example. So this is about the decision tree structure, and here obviously this is called as a root node. So internal nodes are denoted by triangles and leaf nodes are denoted by vowels. So this is already we know this is the basic this is about the structure of the decision tree. So it is a tree-like structure. So here in this decision tree concept we are going to consider this example, and this is the decision tree for that example. This is the decision tree constructed for this example. So if you consider here, initially the age is selected as the root node. So out of all nodes we are having, and one more thing,
Madam.
if you
టైం 10:05 మ్యామ్.
ఓకే నేను చూసుకోలేదు.
నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్ వాళ్ళు కూడా జాయిన్ అవుతారు కదా మేడం.
ఓకే నేను చూసుకోలేదు. ఓకే